Hey, everybody, welcome back to Real Talk with QHT. I'm your host, George Herrera, and today I'm joined by the wonderful, the illustrious,
Oh, wow.
oh, how many syllables are in there? Mrs. Abigail Herrera. Yes, she is
Thank you,
married.
everyone. Thank you.
Oh, she got the
Okay.
sound effects ready. She's experimenting here.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. There's
okay.
birds in
Yeah,
here.
we're recording in the jungle today. All right, so we're
Hello, George Herrera, Mr. Sir.
hello there.
Okay. Good afternoon. Well,
Happy
good
Friday.
afternoon already. Yes.
It's
Happy
afternoon,
Friday. Happy
yes.
Friday.
Mm-hmm. We're here,
Mhm.
and we have another episode for you. So going through, I think our last episode was the Q&A with QHT, which was a new thing, and we will be doing those from time to time, just grabbing like a handful of questions, and we'll just be answering them rapid fire on the pod. But for
Okay.
this episode, we're going back to our old format. Should be pretty quick, so hopefully you learned something today from what
Okay.
we have
Yeah.
outlined.
That's what we. Well, that's why we do this podcast, right?
This is the intention. Yes.
For people to learn, or at
Yes.
least listen.
I mean, if you can learn one thing, or if it helps in any way, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
Right? All
Okay.
right. Awesome. So you have your
So,
agenda there.
can I go over the agenda?
Yes. Let's go.
Okay. Alrighty.
All
Well,
right.
all right. All right. So the agenda for today, we will first go over the question or topic of the week.
Yes.
We'll then go over the aha or tip of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll go over any new listings with QHT and Keller Williams.
Yes.
We'll then go over market insights, my favorite. And then we'll also, lastly, go over what we're reading, watching, or listening these days
Yes.
for entertainment, right?
Awesome. Awesome.
All right.
All right, so can we jump right in?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Let's get it. Let's keep it going throughout the whole episode, and let's just see how we do with all the sound effects. Then we'll
All right.
listen to it in the car, and we can see how it all works.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, please.
So here we go. So first thing is a question of the week.
Okay.
All right. So I got a question for you.
All right. Let me pay attention and stop looking for more sound effects.
Yes.
So I can-
Yeah. For this one, I
so
need
can
you locked in.
focus.
I need you locked in here.
Okay.
All right. So I read this on a real estate forum, this question, and it sounded like a good one because I'm sure a lot of people wonder this, and we've actually heard people say this.
Okay.
So the subject line of the question is too early for a pre-approval. And then what they say is, hi, I'm currently in search for a very specific type of home in a still very hot market where homes are selling very quickly. I've been looking for over a year. I'm not in a rush to buy. However, I'll put an offer in, if anything, I'll put an offer in on something if it meets my requirements. We've heard that many times, right? I'm not in a rush, but if I like it, I'll make an offer.
Okay.
They already have 200,000 to put down, good income, good credit, right?
All right.
Now, I'm being told that I should get a pre-approval letter now. However, from what I'm reading, they expire in 60 to 90 days. This is true. Usually pre-approvals expire in 90 days. I'm honestly not hopeful I'll find anything in this time frame, so they don't think they'll find something in that 90 days. I really don't want my credit to be run every 60 or 90 days. One lender told me they would only run it once, but keep issuing me a new pre-approval letter after 90 days. Even over a year, does this seem right? Is a pre-qualification letter good enough at this point? Also, many listings I see online are coming soon. So pretty much that's the main question. So it's pretty much just, should I get a pre-approval now? I'm not in a rush. I'm worried that my pre-approval is going to expire in 90 days. What if I don't find a house in that 90 days? I don't want my credit to keep getting run every 90 days. So what say you?
Okay. What say me? Okay. Well, I took a couple of notes because there's so many important items to this question.
Okay.
And in my opinion, the answer is yes, to get pre-approved. And I'll give you my reasons as to why. You had mentioned in this question that you're in no rush. However, if you find the right one, you will put in an offer.
Yep.
So that is one of the main reasons why I would say to absolutely get your pre-approval, because if you found that one, that needle in the haystack, you will lose out on it likely because you were not prepared having your pre-approval, because owners or real estate agents want to make sure that any offers that's good, if they're doing their due diligence, any offers that are presented, they're also showing that the buyer is already pre-approved. They've already gone through submitting their financial documents to a lender,
Yeah.
tax returns, W-2s, K-1s. The lender pulled up their credit report. They're collecting bank statements to see liquid assets, et cetera, et cetera. So a pre-approval, the true pre-approval actually outlines that they've done this. So although you mentioned in the question, this person mentioned in the question, they're in no rush, but if they found the right one, they would submit an offer.
Yes.
Your pre-approval would be necessary. Otherwise, you can easily lose out. The second point, you already mentioned it was a hot market. So
Yeah.
if you found that needle in a haystack in a hot market and you got lucky, you never know if you could be that one. Maybe your terms were more favorable.
Yeah.
Perhaps your terms were more favorable than another one. So, hot market.
Or you move quicker.
Yeah, you're able to move quicker, especially in a hot market where things are going very quickly. You don't want to lose out and kick yourself later.
Very true.
That covers the whole not losing out.
Okay.
As far as expiring in 90 days, yes, that is correct. And what that simply means is that they have to update your records, update your credit report. Perhaps things have changed in your financial situation that requires you to redo your pre-approval, especially in an environment like this where the interest rates are changing.
Yeah.
So I would say that hold to it. There is a different type of credit pull than with this type of pre-approval process versus like getting a credit card or applying for a car loan or something like this.
Yeah.
So consult with your loan officer so they can give you an understanding of what that different pull looks like. Okay. And last but not least, regarding the difference of pre-qualification versus a pre-approval, most agents, if they are experienced, they will know that pre-qualification only means that their credit was pulled. The other due diligence of a lender collecting those financial documents that I mentioned before have not been done. So if you were up against, let's just say, even one other buyer, and you only got your pre-qualification, you will be losing time and the opportunity to get that house that you really loved, even if it was just against one other person that was more prepared than you.
For sure.
Zing.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, well,
sound effects.
Right, hey.
I think that's good. I mean, all in all, I think we and our whole team would probably agree that in this scenario, you should just get pre-approved. Pre-approval, like Abby said, the pre-approval process, when they run your credit, it's a different type of pull. That's why even when you get pre-approved, you can get pre-approved by 3 different lenders, and it doesn't impact you in the same way if you get it all done within the same time frame. But definitely getting pre-approved helps because it gives you a realistic idea of what you can afford. And yes, if it expires in 90 days, if some of your lenders, they might know you well, or they might actually, like it said here, they might issue you just an updated letter without pulling your credit again. What you want to make sure is that you just don't, nothing major changes in your financial circumstances. If rates do go up by a significant amount, then yeah, they probably would run pull the pre-approval again because something may have changed significantly. But yeah, I mean, I think being armed with that pre-approval is what helps you when you're out there in a hot market to jump on something. If you submit an offer with a pre-qualification, and we get these all the time, the way we explain it to sellers is that this is a pre-qualification, not a pre-approval, which means that they didn't verify the income, assets. They're really just doing either verbal only or, like you said, just a credit pull. So yeah, definitely I would suggest get the pre-approval.
And one other point that's not that's just an additional point to my opinion of why getting pre-approval is important. If you're buying and you really have an interest, but you could be far off or a little bit closer, pre-approvals are very revealing. When you finally get that, you really discover what your true budget is based on your finances, your credit, your income, your job, your current position with whatever you're doing for employment. But getting pre-approved is very revealing to what it is that you can buy and where.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we've worked with people where they had no idea. They think they can afford this number, but then they get pre-approved, and they were
Yeah.
completely wrong.
For sure.
So then you can plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Right.
For
Okay.
sure.
All right.
All right. Awesome.
you.
So
Good
that's that
question.
question. You want to do another one?
Yes.
Okay. So here's question number 2. Now this always gets confusing because it's related to agency. Even
Okay.
agents still get confused with this kind of stuff.
Okay.
But I thought this was a good question because it's very common, and this is something that probably happens all the time and could easily happen to anyone that's out there buying. Okay, so the subject of the question, or the subject of this post, is failure to disclose dual agency. Okay, so it says, my realtor didn't disclose dual agency on the signed offer letter I submitted for a home. I just realized today that the agent representing the seller was her boss and owns the agency. Okay, so she obviously submitted the offer,
Sorry, just move that. There.
probably submitted the offer through an agent from the office, and the listing agent is the owner. So they're from the same office. While I did see that I initialed on the page that showed who the agents were, dual agency was not marked, and I also did not make the connection that her boss owned the company. The deal has since gone south due to a number of reasons. Okay, and they believe that the agents misrepresented, lied about material facts, and I plan on filing a complaint with the licensing board. But is the failure to mark dual agency an issue since they both work for the same agency? I should add that my realtor only ever referred to this other realtor as her colleague, not coworker. So I never really paid attention to the seller agent on the contract. I technically should have read everything, but it never occurred to me that who the agent is for the seller would matter if my agent didn't tell me. So a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But all in all, the scenario is that buyer came in, buyer made an offer. Obviously, it was someone from the same agency who was
brokerage.
either showed it or did the open house, whatever the case is. So the person submitting the offer, the agent, works in the same office as the listing agent. This buyer, now deal has gone south. Now they're thinking, they misrepresented something. They never told me that it was dual agency, and they plan on filing a complaint. So
Okay.
yeah, that pretty much, but is the failure to mark dual agency an issue since they both work for the same agency?
Okay, great question. So my first question in response to this question is, was the agent representing that buyer? Okay.
This is the number one thing, even for listeners,
I don't
if
even
you're
know.
a consumer.
We're just responding to the question.
That
But
is the first
number
question.
one question I would have. Was this agent that helped this buyer representing this buyer as a buyer's agent? Quote unquote,
Buyer's agent, meaning, so the true definition of a buyer's agent is a buyer who exclusively hires an agent, who hires an agent to represent their interests. Yeah, but not everyone is a buyer's agent, right?
No, that's correct. Now, if it's an agent, let's say, you mentioned open house, right?
Sure.
So let's say this agent, okay, first the property was listed by a brokerage. That's the listing agent. And then an agent from that same office was hosting an open house, right? Unless that buyer that came into the open house was then represented by that agent hosting the open house, meaning they actually signed an exclusivity agreement, or they signed off on the agency disclosure form that I am representing you, even if it's an implied agency. Yes, you discussed like I can represent you as a buyer's agent.
Yep.
And signed off on exactly that. Dual agency does not apply here.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's so the only way, because the way they have it stated is the failure to disclose dual agency. However, if this buyer was a customer and not a client, there was no dual agency.
Right.
So they're assuming,
Yeah.
because the same brokerage was on both sides. But if they told this buyer that we represent the seller as the seller's agent, and if they signed a disclosure with that, then there is no dual agency, because both agents would be representing the seller.
Okay, and this is specific for New York. Oh, excuse me. It's my Spanish lesson reminder. That's specific for New York. We can't speak on how other states handles
Sure.
practices, but this is specific to New York.
Yeah. So
So it's pretty straightforward.
I think the main thing here, and something for any consumers that are listening, knowing the difference between customer and client. So when you go and you make an offer on a property, you're either a customer of the agent that you're submitting the offer through, or you're a client. If you didn't hire the agent as your buyer's agent, then you are not a client. You're a customer.
Yeah.
And that agent is representing, by default, representing the seller, not you. Unless you hire an agent to represent you and your best interests, you don't have a buyer's agent. And dual agency is a thing. And dual agency, though, is only when the seller is a client of the brokerage and the buyer is also a client of the brokerage.
Of that same brokerage.
Of that same
Yes.
brokerage. If it's not, if both agents are representing the seller, you actually don't have dual agency.
Yeah.
So you just have seller agency.
Yeah.
They might not have, that's where it could have been explained better to this buyer.
Yes.
And that may have helped out. But definitely that can get so confusing. Agency and understanding who works for who, and, you know, things like that, that can get really tricky. So that's a good one. Yes. This,
Wow, indeed.
yeah.
Yee.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Anyone out there, if you ever have questions about agency, give us a call, because this stuff gets really tricky. But an agent, an experienced agent that knows all the ins and outs of agency, can help you understand who stands where and who's representing who.
Yeah.
But
It's
it can get
definitely
confusing.
it's certainly confusing, and it's just about understand. It has to be You just have to be explained these things.
Yeah,
That's all.
for
Okay.
sure. Okay.
Good question. Thank
All right,
you, whoever
awesome.
that was.
So next
All
thing
right.
we have is our aha or tip of the week. Do you have any aha from the last week?
Yeah, I definitely have an aha, because I got a call from I got a call from someone. We get calls every day, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And this person had mentioned that they had gotten scammed out of money for a rental. And they had filed a complaint with the police department, and they were calling to file a complaint. So I've only gotten this a handful of times, and oftentimes the company can get mistaken as representing all Keller Williams as a whole.
Oh, like the whole entire
Keller Williams
organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
organization. So what I got on the phone, and we had a very pleasant conversation. I felt very bad for this lady, and I walked her through. First I listened to all what was going on, so I can seek first to understand what's going on, right? So in the end, she had explained that she contacted this person for a rental. The person asked for money. She gave money. She was scammed.
Oh, they
out of
gave
three-
a Keller Williams email
yeah,
or
Keller
something like
Williams
that.
email, all these things. Yes, correct. And then she also gave cash. She lost out on $3,000. And anyway, listening through all these things, then I asked, okay, so the first thing I had mentioned to her is, okay, did they mention, first of all, our team, because they're contacting me now. So
Yeah.
I'm saying, did they represent themselves as the Queens home team or the Brooklyn home team of Keller Williams Realty? Because
Yeah.
I wanted to confirm, is this someone posing themselves as working for our team
Yes.
attached with our brokerage? The answer was no. They represented themselves working for Keller Williams Realty. Okay, did they mention which Keller Williams Realty office? Because the office, Keller Williams itself, is a franchise, and there's many different offices that
Yeah.
are open in different locations of New York City. No, they just said Keller Williams Realty. Okay, that was the second thing. So it wasn't actually attached to our brokerage.
Yeah.
And then I said, did they give an address of where their location is? She gave me the address in Brooklyn. And I said, I'm not familiar with that address
And it
in
wasn't
Brooklyn.
the address of our Keller Williams Brooklyn office.
Not the one
No.
that we know about, which is
there's
Bay
only
Ridge.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so unless
So,
there's
yeah.
a new office that opened, I'm not
No,
aware.
so it's not. It
So,
doesn't.
not
Another.
even that.
So
That
that's
was
number
another
2. Red
key.
flag.
And then I mentioned I'm not aware of that, but there is a Keller Williams office in Brooklyn. Gave them information, etc.
Yeah.
So I told her, you did the right thing by contacting the police department so they can do their due diligence. And then as well, I'm glad that you're able to call, and I can at least answer your questions and guide you, and assure that we are not the ones that had any dealings with this, or if we did, we would also take the necessary steps to notify our office, etc. But it wasn't the case. It was not attached to our office. So I explained, whenever you're searching for a rental, you never give cash to this. You're not supposed to actually, agents are not supposed to accept cash for rentals. In fact,
I mean, it does happen. But the cash always is supposed to be delivered to the brokerage. But even still, it's not, any consumer is not advisable.
Well,
Don't
I
give
know that
cash.
our office in particular, our rules are no cash is allowed. They actually have
So
to
our
have
office
a
doesn't allow it.
certified check or money
Yeah.
order. I can't imagine other brokerages that allow otherwise, but
Yeah, you
maybe I
can.
could be mistaken. But
Yeah.
I know that the rule for our office has to be made out check or money
Yeah.
order to the name of the brokerage
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
And so I said that was already the red flag right there. You know, they asked for initial money just to see the apartment. Then they asked for money. They
Oh,
didn't even sign a
application
lease,
fee or
application
something.
fees, all these kinds of things. And she was very confused. This was the first time she was looking for a rental. So I felt I just guided her. So it's very different from what she was doing or
Yeah.
what she experienced.
Yeah.
So I gave her some advice about these things, and just be aware. You know, don't exchange cash. If you meet an agent that's representing a listing, meet them at the office of that listing that they state that they are from. When you're actually signing a lease and exchanging keys, you know, make sure that the checks are written out to Keller Williams Realty if it's the listing with the company, not just necessarily Keller Williams, but the brokerage itself. And then let's say there's a first month's rent or 1 month security, whatever the terms are.
Yeah.
Everything is legitimately handled.
Yeah.
Okay?
So what were the learning lessons? Those are like your pretty much good tips
Just
for people, right?
Really, the tip is that I understand scams exist.
They exist,
and they,
yeah.
especially in this day and age, it's maybe perhaps getting worse. But do your due diligence. Make sure you can ask for identification. Do all
Yeah.
the kinds of things that if you're actually giving money to someone, that you're not going to get scammed.
Yeah. So I would say for me, if there's an agent, if you're going through a broker, if the person in the ad is representing themselves as an agent, you should verify their name. You can do a license search. You can do a public license search. You just look up e-access New York public license search, and you can search anyone's name to see if their license is actually active.
Good one.
And get their license number. So verify that they're actually a licensed agent. Verify the office. So if they are saying, "Oh, I'm with Keller Williams Realty," okay, but there's a different
Many
Keller Williams.
offices, yeah.
Which Keller Williams Realty are you with? Whether it's Remax, whether it's Compass, no matter what agency they're representing themselves with, they're gonna have a location. And so you want to know which one are you with, and then look up that office to see if it's a real office. You can even call that office and say, "Hey, I'm right now in touch with Sally agent on this rental. Is this agent in your office?" You can even verify that they're actually an agent there. And then don't send money unless you get keys. For me, at least, I wouldn't I wouldn't give anyone any money without seeing a place.
Yeah.
You see the place. Once you see the place, if you want to apply, most likely there will be an application fee. If somebody tells you you need to put $500, $1,000, whatever to hold an apartment, I wouldn't do it. Just don't do it. You can submit an application, and there most likely would be a fee. But any real monies that you start cutting checks for, I would only do it when I'm signing a lease and getting keys.
Yes.
That's how it should work.
Okay.
Right?
Good one.
Anything else there for tips? I mean, if it's landlord, you're going direct through landlord, so maybe IDs and stuff to verify. But for agent stuff, I think you got to verify the office only use checks. Keep it official.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's trying to scam you and you write the check to the company, they won't be able to cash that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you'll have some recourse there.
Great.
Alrighty.
you.
Next up, we have
New
market.
listings.
Oh, yeah, new listings. We have a
Okay.
new listing. So this is a new listing that we have in Kew Garden Hills. It's a single family semi-detached house.
Okay.
I just saw the pictures. This is our team member Daniel, who just took this listing.
Shout out to Dan.
Shout out to Dollar Bill Dan. And the listing looks really good. I mean, it looks like it needs a little TLC, but it's priced well at $725, which for Kew Garden Hills is pretty good.
Great.
Semi-detached, and it looks like a nice layout, nice standard colonial layout. So definitely go to queenshometeam.com and you can see all the details of that new listing.
Great. If you have any questions, our
Yes.
man Daniel's son, we have a wonderful agent on our team, and he can answer any questions as well.
Definitely.
Great.
Okay. Next, we have our market insights.
Okay. Yay.
All right.
Numbers.
Tell us about the treasury bonds.
Okay. So based on your fancy notes here, the 10-year treasury is at 3.49%. And today is the 28th of April.
Yes.
Wow, my gosh, already April 28th.
I know.
So, and last episode, which was a few weeks ago, it was at 3.29%. So the 10-year treasury went up.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us.
So what does that mean?
You tell me.
So mortgage rates.
Okay.
So the mortgage rates right now, average rate for a 30-year fix is pretty much 6.6%.
Okay.
And last episode, it was 6.2%. So it
Okay.
went from the low twos up to the mid sixes. So they went up in the last few weeks. And probably for a lot of the year now, it seems we seem to have leveled off in the sixes. So we've been like bouncing around from the low to high sixes, which is good. At least it gives some stability. And then we'll see what happens as we move through the year. But right now, it looks like anywhere in the sixes is where mortgage rates have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be good to monitor this quarter, April, May, June.
Oh, yeah.
Like I would love to wrap this up the second quarter in June, just see the trend, like how it went.
Yeah.
How it trickled up or down or whatever, left, right.
I just heard a podcast a couple days ago where I think it was the someone who works at Housing Wire, and he was saying that he can see rates possibly falling below 5%. Oh no, not below 5, below 6. So
Okay.
leveling off somewhere in maybe the 5s.
Okay.
So we'll see if that happens. But if that happens, we probably would see a little spur in activity. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll monitor it.
This market information is making my eyelid
Eyelid twitch.
quiver.
It's just dancing over here.
It could be the caffeine or it could be the market insights. I don't know.
Or both.
I just felt it quivering for a moment.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the market insights. Aside from that, no real, major news noteworthy that I can mention, except that you could see this on our website, where I've been hearing from multiple sources now, multiple podcasts, multiple articles talking about the commercial real estate industry.
Okay.
And how there's a lot of they're called headwinds.
Okay.
Just a lot of factors that are not good. They
Headwinds.
have so
Okay.
property values for commercial real estate are down. Vacancies are up because, of course, commercial space, office space, people working from home. So the vacancies are high right now. And you have people, a lot of these, I don't know how many $1 trillion worth of commercial real estate is up for refinance within the next year. And a lot of them won't even be able to refinance because of the vacancies and the values going down. So they're people are saying this is a big risk to the banks. And, I guess if it really gets bad, it could have broad implications for the economy. But that's something I put an article in our last newsletter that speaks about it from Reuters.
Yes.
So you can check that out, Reuters, and it's a nice article. But that's the one thing market-wise that I've heard about that's saying, the way it could impact residential is if banks start tightening their lending standards because of issues in the commercial real estate market.
Well, I mean, we had spoken about that a couple of episodes ago about tightening lending standards anyway.
Which hasn't happened. People are still getting loans. We haven't seen people having trouble getting financing.
Well, at least we haven't spoken to people that have complained about having
Yeah.
difficulty getting lending.
Yeah.
So until we actually start to hear it more often, then I
Yeah.
would say, okay, we're seeing it now.
That's the thing that could really, create a big shift in the market is if there were, it's called a credit crunch.
Ooh.
If for some reason banks really started tightening lending standards and you already have demand pretty low, and then if they start tightening and it's harder for people to get loans, then that's what could really create, a bigger shift in the market.
Okay.
But we'll
Wow.
see. We'll see what happens there. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
okay.
Nice.
Wow. All right. Well, the crowd was really
No, they're
They're
very,
really
they really like that stuff, huh? All right. Sign up for our newsletter. By the way, anybody,
yeah.
if anyone's listening, this is exclusive to QHT. We send a newsletter every month to all of the homeowners, New York City homeowners in our database, in our network.
Yes.
All the New York City home buyers, future, whether you're thinking of buying now or 5 years from now, and all of our past clients. So if you're interested in getting added to our list for New York City home buyers, our newsletter, or New York City homeowners, then shoot us an email, info@queenshometeam.com,
Okay.
and we can add you to the list.
All right.
By the way, we got a question, remember? For after the last episode. Somebody wrote in with a question on the pod.
I can't remember.
Yes.
On
So,
the
I mean,
pod.
Abby answered it anyway by email, but just so y'all know,
Oh,
we
about
got a question. So,
Oh, I know
about
it's within
co-ops.
Co-ops.
Oh, is it negotiable? Co-ops,
Oh,
putting the
down
20% down.
Oh,
Is that
yay.
amount negotiable? And
Ah.
unfortunately, it's not, because co-ops, they're black and white. So when they say minimum down payment, it's just black and white. You have to have that minimum down payment, but it's not negotiable. But there are some co-ops in Queens that allow 10% down.
Okay.
So that would be the lower than 20% that you could find.
Yes, and
But
I
yes, we got a
remember
question.
who that was, and I'd love to give her a shout without disclosing her last name, but her first name is Mona. Yay!
Mona, shout out to Mona. Okay.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
I felt like super like important. But I love it. At least we know that this is, the information we're putting out is not going on deaf ears.
Yes.
Oh, not to say my point is that it's not being not listened to.
Yes,
Excuse me.
yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me. I want to say that very kindly.
Yeah. And, I mean, if she had that question, that means other people might have had that question.
Yeah.
So now you have that answer. It's not negotiable, but there are some co-ops that allow 10% down.
Yes.
Yeah. So there
Okay.
you go.
Shout out to Mona. That was super cool.
All right. All right.
right.
And last we have reading, watching, listening. What you got?
Okay. I haven't picked up any new books myself. How about yourself?
Okay,
Sir?
so this is my new thing that I did recently, and I've been having fun with it. So I went into my Apple Music. Shout out to Apple. Sponsors are
Welcome.
sponsorships. Okay, so what I did is I went into Apple Music and I started thinking about all my favorite artists of all time, and then I downloaded like maybe the first 2 or 3 albums, or the ones I remember the most, like my favorite, 2 or 3 albums of each of my favorite artists. And I downloaded them all to a playlist, and I've just been jamming it. And you just put it on shuffle, and then you're listening to all your favorite artists, all your favorite albums. And some of them take you back to back in the day. It's like a time machine. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
my
was waiting for you
suggestion.
to tell me about a book, but you're talking
No,
about what you're
I'm
listening
always
to.
reading, but I'm reading the
Okay.
same ones right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
As far as anything new that we've watched lately, any entertaining?
Beef. I think we
Beef.
watched that after the last episode.
Yeah, that was
Beef.
interesting.
Super. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
We talk about the things that we're watching, but we never give any background information
Yeah.
about what it's about.
I know.
It's just what we're watching, okay?
Yes,
If you wanna
but watch it.
great.
It's
If not,
artistic.
it's okay.
It's the acting is great. My boy Glenn from Walking Dead is in there. I
Okay.
didn't know he had that kind of depth,
Yeah.
but it's a really good show, and you just have to watch it. It gets really deep, a lot of twists and turns.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you say beef in Spanish?
Carne?
Ooh, carne.
Yeah.
Carne. Okay.
There you go.
Well, is
All
there
right.
anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you. Love to hear from anybody listening.
Yes.
You're welcome to reach out and ask questions. We'll give you a shout.
Yes.
Or, just give us some high fives. Let us know you're listening. If you have a specific topic you'd like us to discuss, we'd
Yeah.
love to hear your feedback.
For sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode. Take care and have a great day.
Okay.